Welcome to the Masters in Motion podcast, where we empower Masters athletes to reach their full potential. Join us as we delve into the world of CrossFit and showcase the strength, resilience, and determination of Masters athletes, because we love this sport. I'm JASONGRUBB, here with Rick Stevenson and our special guest today, Cheryl Brost. Welcome, guys.
Well, Cheryl is accomplished, to say the least. She is an 11-time qualifier, 9 times actually Games athlete. She participated as an individual athlete in 2010, 2011, and 2012. She finished as high as 7th in 2011. She has also qualified as a Masters athlete almost every year since 2013, missing the Games only 3 years due to some injuries. So she is as consistent as they come in our sport. She's competed in 3 different Masters divisions: women's 40 to 44, 45 to 49, and most recently 50 to 54 divisions. She is a 2-time Masters champion, and she has had 5 placements inside the top 5. As I said, accomplished to say the least, is consistent and a strong competitor, but probably just as well known for her Instagram posts as they are literally from paradise. So, welcome straight from Hawaii. Cheryl, thanks for joining us today.
Aloha, kakahiaka. That means good morning here in Hawaii. It's about 10:14 a.m. Beautiful 80-some degrees out. Just finished walking my dogs out mile walk with them, and I was getting a little hot. So we came back and took some shelter.
Oh, yeah. That's not what I'm seeing right now, but that's okay. Give me a couple more months. How about that? Well, we're glad you could join us today. We just wanted to have a good little conversation. You are certainly a rock star in the sport from a Masters perspective, from an individual a female competitor's perspective, and just share some thoughts with you. Interesting to learn a little bit about you. And I guess I could start with saying, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your background, your story, maybe what led you to CrossFit, and how you got started in the sport.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was born and raised in Eugene, Oregon. My parents were farmers, and was a wonderful way to be brought up. A lot of hard work, working around the farm. I was the youngest of 4 siblings. I had 3 siblings. I was the youngest of 4, and just early mornings. Go to school, come home. You have chores to do around the farm. My sister and I also had several horses. We got into 4-H and showing horses along the way. I also did sports. I played soccer from age 5. Started basketball, I think, like in 4th grade. So showed horses competitively through my early in high school. And then soccer and basketball won over and kept participating in those. And I went to college, played both soccer and basketball in college at Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington. Had some great influencers there with my coaches there. Colleen Hacker was still a big mentor for me. She's just a wonderful woman and coach of many sports. She's been to the Olympic Games as a coach in women's hockey as well as women's soccer numerous years. And she's her specialty is mental skills performance. So she still actually teaches at Pacific Lutheran University, but no longer coaches there, but because of her other duties elsewhere with Olympic national teams, and she's kind of stepped down from that a little bit, but she still does a lot of consulting with professional athletes in all different types of sports.
So you had working on the mental game almost before we knew that everybody needed to work on the mental game of whatever sport. Yeah, how important that is now to think about mental coaches.
Yep, for sure. I was very blessed in that way. And let's see, I found CrossFit through a friend I was playing on a women's soccer team with. This was in Eugene, and I had been searching for something. I'd ran a marathon, I think one in like 2000, the Portland Marathon. I was doing the old 24-hour fitness, trying to stay in shape type thing, playing women's soccer rec leagues and women's basketball rec leagues. And anyway, my friend Letitia shared with me that I should come try this out. And so I did, and just fell in love with it from day one. Of course, I didn't know anything about competition side of it at that time. This was December of 2009 when I first joined.
Wow.
And it was, I think, about in February or March when our Jeremy Stecker was our affiliate owner, and he started telling us that there's sectionals coming up, CrossFit sectionals for Oregon, Idaho.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's that about? And so several of us from our gym signed up and went up to Portland and competed. And I think I finished 8th or maybe 12th. I can't even remember exactly, but I remember like top 20 got to go to the regionals. So and then I found myself a few months later at the regionals up in Washington, and on top of I think I took 2nd that year, and found my way to the game.
Found your way to the games like that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it shows the skill too.
Yeah, it seriously amped up my, from just attending a basic CrossFit class, for 1 hour. I'm like, I better figure out how the heck to do a ring muscle up and all this stuff. So I started, I kept doing the CrossFit classes, but just supplementing at that first year. And then I started following Invictus program in early 2012. With CJ Martin.
Sure. Yep.
Ironically, he's from Eugene, Oregon as well. But we both graduated from the same high school, to be honest. But we were 5 years apart, or are 5 years apart in age, so we never were quite in school together. So he took me under his wing and trained me for numerous years in the individual side. And then when the Invictus Masters came up with their master's program, first I was a little unsure. I was like thinking, oh, geez, will this really keep me in shape? Or will be a big drop off in volume and so forth? Because I was still trying to keep up with the young ones at the time. But no, it's been a great program. You guys are very familiar with the different types of master programs out there, and it's been, I have no regret, making the change over to the master's training program.
What were some of those early experiences like at the games as an individual? Because you got to experience that during the OG, just the beginnings of that whole thing. What was some highlights?
I missed the ranch by 1 year.
Yeah, I saw that.
But no, it was incredible. I definitely have some highlights from the games as an individual. There's a few for sure that stand out to me. Just because you get to do some things that maybe you have never done before, and you're just trying to use what skills you've acquired as a CrossFit athlete and see how you can pull it off. But the killer cage, for that being a really fun workout in 2011. I think that was a Saturday night event under the lights in the tennis stadium. It was, I think it was 3 rounds for time of 7 front squats. The ladies had 155 for the front squats, and then it was a 700-meter bike. I don't even know what type of that was.
Yeah,
it was some
bike.
Type of
it was before the C2 bike. Yeah,
it was a spin bike of some sort, and then you had a 100-foot traverse through the monkey bars on the killer cage. And I just remember the environment just being electric that night, and it was just super fun. I think I got a top maybe 8 placing or something in that workout, top 10 for sure. So I just remember that being a real fun event. I also, not a huge fan of swimming. I've never finished the top of my class in the swimming part, but the Pendleton event in 2012 was kind of special. Not very often someone gets to go do something like that.
Right.
And so
not open to anybody other than games athletes.
Yeah. Once you got past the swim part, which they gave us fins to swim with, I'm not a real great freestyle swimmer. I've gotten better, but I'm like, how do I breaststroke with this?
Well, fins don't work real well with that, do they? No.
So, that was interesting. But no, once we got out and got to do the bike, it was a lot of carrying the bike through some soft sand and spots. And then there was finally got to the road and got to ride the bike. And then the run was interesting because you really had no idea how far it was up and over this mountain.
Yeah, you changed elevations a lot, didn't you?
And it changed elevation. There was I remember a lot of people did not wear proper shoes, and they had a lot of lost toenails after that event. Thankfully, I didn't suffer from that. But no, that was a really cool event. I just remember every checkpoint. They had the checkpoint with the Marines out there, and they tell you, "Oh, you're just up over around the corner. You're almost there." No,
Just keep next incline, next
Yep.
rise, just around the next corner.
Yep. Another fun one highlight is double banger event in 2012. That was also in the
Oh,
tennis
sure.
stadium during the day, but it was just unique because we had double unders with the different style swings on the sledge and driving that iron block down the track. That was fun. Yeah. So those are my highlights I can quickly recall on the individual side. The Masters side. One that sticks out back in Carson is the axle bar finale in year 2016.
16. Yeah.
We did that in the tennis stadium, and again, just something we haven't played around with at all, or I certainly hadn't with axle bar. And I think the men's was 185, women's was 125 pounds. So that was fun to be able to learn how to deadlift, hang clean it, and
At
put it
the end
overhead.
at the end of the week with your grip gone,
Oh,
I remember the failing of people just trying to clean and
just
just the bar flying out of their hand. Completely.
Yep. And we had Coach Julian was out in the back in the warm-up area trying to help us learn these different, strongman techniques for how to move this axle bar.
Yeah. Did you find yourself doing the one overhand, one underhand, then switch on the clean?
Oh,
Yep.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Seeing that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we moved to Wisconsin. Both times I've gotten to do obstacle courses, I've loved it. We had the obstacle course in Pendleton for individuals. That was super fun.
Yeah.
And then the obstacle course that they came up with in the first year Madison I just loved it. Because we froze our ass off before. We had really, really weird weather come through, and it was freezing. And first we had to wait for our heat and standing outside in the cold, waiting our turn. And you couldn't really take any other stuff out there with you. You just had to move around, jump around, try to stay warm, and then try to go be real nimble and fast.
I remember being there. I was there watching that. It was my first year watching the games. And
really?
I went and bought a sweatshirt, but you guys weren't allowed to take any gear out with you. So you're just out there in your workout gear. That's it.
Shorts.
I mean, and women's workout gear is there's not a lot there. Not a lot of workout gear that you're wearing.
Yeah. So
crazy.
Yeah, that was a fun one. So let's see. In this last year, 2022, I really enjoyed the skills chipper and parallel Elizabeth inside the Coliseum there.
It was different because how many of us have played around on parallel bars, to be honest with you, over the years?
Yeah, I'd never been on them, to be honest, except for in the little briefing.
Yeah, you got one traverse across, I think I remember.
Yep.
That wasn't a lot.
So yeah, those are some of my games highlights, I'd say.
Well, I'll ask you, because you've seen Carson and you've seen Madison and heck, the old regional days, or now all of our versions of online from quarterfinals to semifinals. What do you attribute that's been the biggest factor in helping you be so consistent over the years? Staying relatively injury free, but your consistency has now spanned quite a number of years, where as a Masters athlete, we just see some people come and go, or the the body just doesn't hold up at times.
Right. Well, I've been fortunate to be with Invictus for all these years now, and I just really have never had did I mute something? I'm sorry. You hear me? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've never had a reason to try another program. I've just been super happy with Invictus. They're like a second family to me. So I think the programming they've laid out for me as an athlete has been sound and reasonable. And as I've aged, I've been able to have my training match that appropriately.
Appropriate volume, rest, recovery.
Yeah. Most of my injuries have not been in training so much as it's been in competing. I had Achilles rupture in 2013 regionals. I had a shoulder tear in 2019 games. My other shoulder actually I did tear in 2018, but I was out playing soccer with my daughter's team. Let's see. Yeah, I had hip surgery in 2021. That was really that was from accumulation of just wear and tear on the hip.
I think we
not
can all attest to
necessarily.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
over the years.
So and before CrossFit, I had 2 knee surgeries. So I've had 6 major surgeries.
Okay.
You are bionic at this point.
So I've
But
I guess
remarkably consistent.
My body has
Yeah.
been open to, getting injured and getting recovered and getting back to the groove quite regularly. So,
Ramping back up.
yep.
One of the things that Rick and I talked about last week, and we had a very masculine role or discussion because it's only 2 of us dudes talking about this. But we were talking about the work-life balance of being consistent competitive athletes and trying to balance that with work and family and all that. What's your take on that? How you've done this for so many years at the highest level? How do you manage that balance?
Yeah. Well, I guess I didn't touch on that with my background, but we've been in real estate, investment, property management. So I guess in a way, when we first started, my husband and I went to work for my parent. They were our employers, and they were getting ready to build a retirement community in Eugene, Oregon from the ground up. So we jumped on board with them and built this retirement community. It became a well-known for the 55 and older manufactured home park. It became a award-winning, best of the west of the Mississippi. And so we did that for numerous years. Took us 8 years to build it out to completion. And then we bought my parents out a few years after, I think that was about 2010 or something like that. And then we got it about 2013 is when we moved to Hawaii. And then we held on to that retirement committee for 2 more years. And we were getting a little I don't know, bored or just stagnant in residential property management. So we decided to sell that community and move into more commercial. So that's what we do now. We can work from home.
Perfect.
We have a broker, and we have a property manager out of Washington that oversees the properties for us. I basically nowadays, my role is basically doing bookkeeping and communicating with the accountant and property management and so forth. And my husband, he also can work from home, but he oversees most the lease negotiations. Right now, we're in the midst of selling one of our commercial properties, and we'll have to 1031 them into hopefully 2 or 3 other properties. So
Gotcha.
Takes a lot of his time studying all the different properties available across the U.S.
And you've balanced it. You've created a life that allows you a lot of the flexibility.
Yeah.
To work and train. Yeah.
Kind of work for ourselves for the most part. To work with my husband allowed me to be real flexible on my work schedule, and I have time to get to the gym and then time to get my work done. And now we're empty nesters, so we have a lot more time on our hands in terms of no sporting events to get our kids to, and practices and carpools, and I miss all that for sure.
It goes fast, doesn't it?
It goes fast. Our daughter's in college. Our son is in the working force in Seattle area. Our daughter's in Florida. So actually, we were able to go and spend 3 months, almost 3 months in Florida this fall and watch her play her collegiate soccer season. So that was
wow,
cool.
Very cool.
That was something to take some time off and just follow her career.
Yeah.
That's what
to be able to, to give back to the family and spend time, seeing what your kids are doing and enjoying. Selfishly, I love doing that too, though. I mean, it's just as much for me as it is for them.
Gotcha. So nobody had to twist your arm.
Oh, no. Nope. So
at this time of the season, around the open quarterfinals, semifinals, you with having to have a lot of consistency right now, because we're in season, I'd say. What is a typical, let's call it a standard training day, or an average training day? Maybe some days you train more, some days less. What does a typical day look like?
Oh yeah, sure. So when I wake up in the morning, I generally down some water before I grab my coffee. So start with hydration, and enjoy some coffee, check in on emails and messages and so forth. Then I'll take the dogs for a walk. We usually do a 1 to 2 mile walk. Let's see. And then breakfast. And then I usually always train like around the noon session. So anywhere from 11:30 to 3, or yesterday was 12 to 3. I think I left the gym at 3:20. Yeah, so just tackling what's on the program for that day. And in addition, like right now, I'm hitting our basic programming. Coach also throws in optional programming, usually almost every day. And then I'm also adding in right now a ring muscle up accessory program.
Gotcha.
So yeah, my ring muscle ups I've had, pre-shoulder surgeries. They were doing pretty well. And then you go through these little injuries and so forth. You go through time periods where I can't swing on the rings, or they've had their progression. They get their ups and downs. I just still haven't got to the point as a master's CrossFit athlete, even after all these years, where ring muscle ups it's not like riding a bike.
Gotcha.
I gotta keep working them. I gotta keep working.
A lot of these higher skill movements, you have to. You can't just put in the back of your mind, say, okay, that's an accomplishment. I know under pressure to be tested, I can do this. It does take refinement, and it does take touching that movement regularly to keep it up. Maybe the younger ones are different than us, but I don't think we
and
go
I
through.
also find interesting. I train at 2 different gyms, and then I have stuff in my garage as well. But I go to CrossFit Kona 2 days a week and train with a group of guys down there. And then the other 3 days a week, I'm up at CrossFit All Star up in Waimea. And they both have kind of longer sets of straps, but CrossFit Kona's straps on their ring super long. They have like the steel cable, and then they have the rogue straps on that. Man,
so hard.
Those are so tricky. I mean,
It's representative of what you'll see usually in a competition, especially outdoors.
Yeah.
So I think it's good.
Yeah.
From a training perspective.
So, but right now I'm really have to work on those a lot, because
swaying.
This last weekend I was on the east side over in Hilo, and so I went to CrossFit Hilo Iron for a couple days, and their straps, they felt so easy doing ring muscle ups on theirs because of the shorter strap.
4 feet from the top of the rig.
Yeah, maybe
something like that. Yeah, 6 feet, something like that.
As opposed to like 18 feet.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If we have ring muscle ups in our semifinals competition, I am going to opt for short straps. I will try to find myself to the place where there's shorter straps as opposed to long straps.
Yep.
When I can control it, I'll take short.
Yep. They're just a lot more responsive and snappier, I think.
Yep.
Well, I'll ask, speaking of semifinals coming up, what have you liked so far with regards to the programming in 2023, now that we've seen 2 stages, and the last year and maybe a quarter has been, under Adrian, and, we've moved past Castro's programming, and how the community has had those pain points of newer movements and all the uproar perhaps over that, judging standards, things like that. So what have you found that you've liked, I think, maybe with this change? Because you've seen one set of programming for quite a while when it comes to competitions. And now maybe it's a little different. 50 shuttle runs times 2.
Yeah.
Sorry. Had to drop.
There's been some good ones, I think, of recent. I like how Adrian has incorporated, gradually some new skills, some new movements, with the burpee pull up being one, and then the wall facing strict handstand push up, at least for a good chunk of us. Not everyone got to do those.
Right.
And I guess that's what one thing I would say, I would like to see maybe different in the age groupers is more scaling of progression from age group to age group, rather than a significant drop off, rather than, not having the 35 to 54 all doing one thing in the qualifier open, and then the qualifiers, and then the 55 plus and older, just because you turn 55 doesn't mean you can't still do ring muscle up or a wall facing strict handstand push up. You don't need a 2-inch deficit and a 12-foot rope climb. And, I would just like to, I don't see there's no reason that they can't have, broken down maybe by decades, like 35 to 44 this is your scales, and 45 to 54 you're doing this, and 55 to 64 you're doing this, and then 65 plus. plus. Just a more reasonable progression. I don't see any value in us 50-some-year-old women doing almost or identical same weight as some of the 55-plus men.
Okay, that's the way to look at it. That's right. That's right.
And I likewise, I don't see someone like myself, 52, doing the same weight snatch that the 35-year-olds are doing or attempting to.
Right. Which we would stand and look at the bar a lot.
Yeah, it just creates a different workout, right? So I would like to maybe see if that's the area I think they can improve upon. But yeah, I do like the fact throwing in challenging the community and throwing some new movements here and there.
And I actually do, because if you have only known it to be one way for a decade or so,
right,
that I don't think advances the sport as much as we would all like to see it advance. I think it's very stale. And that's from a competition standpoint. Now there's everybody in the gym in your general population that, hey, they're still working on double unders, or, we don't need to introduce crossovers just yet if we're still working on getting a simple double under or a ring muscle up. There's progressions for that.
Yep.
But for those that are competing, let's be pushed a little within this. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Okay, let's make this more personalized. Let's say, Cheryl, you have the option of choosing one movement you would like to not see in semifinals. Let's go with semifinals. And you can control this. You would have the say to have one movement not show up, and you would also have the say of a movement that you would love to show up in semifinals. We'll make that very relevant for now. What would you love to not see, and what would you love to see to be tested for you particularly?
Well, one particular movement, as I mentioned already, is, there'd be no way that they'd say, you have to do long strap, 12 feet or longer strap muscle.
Yeah.
So I think I'm safe there. I'll have some control over a ring muscle. With my
At your
strap.
place. Yep.
Let's see. I would say, swimming, we're not going to have swimming, so I think we're safe there. One thing I don't want to see, heavy 10-foot wall ball shots.
Okay. All right. 20 pounds for you, 30 pounds for us.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. I don't care for, okay, I can do 20 to 9, but 20 to 10, that's awful.
That was semis last year. The weights were the same, but we went up a foot, right? We went 11 and you went 10.
Yeah.
And it throws your rhythm off, throws your timing until you kind of got into it. That was different.
Yeah.
And I'll agree with you there. With a 30-pound wall ball to 11 feet, I am jumping off the floor on every rep. I am jumping as hard as I can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Couldn't imagine.
No thanks.
30. Movement I'd like to.
Yeah, let's hear wheelhouse.
Handstand walks.
Good chance to see that.
Yep. I think it's time we could see that. I love bar muscle ups. I love pull up, toes to bar. We've seen a lot of those already, but barbell cycling is a good strong one for me. Generally, I like chipper workouts.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've named quite a lot. I think your competition.
I like all of those too.
Yeah, I was going to say,
these are great.
Chances are you're going to see a lot of those, which is good.
Yeah, I like a good, fast, hard, strong workout too.
The just burn down the house 5 minutes or less kind of.
Yep.
deal.
Kind of like the individuals had that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What was that burpee box? Or it was 5 burpee box jump overs, and then the 5.
The very heavy clean and jerk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's just adjust the weight for us.
It's lighter than theirs.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, then, because we, we're talking to an audience that of competitors, but also of everyday CrossFitters, and I think it's important for us to ask you maybe a piece of advice that you could share for those that the season is over, we're back into the gym, Monday, 5 days a week or 4 days a week with regular class, maybe some additional programming. What's a piece of advice that you could share for all the rest of us?
Yeah, I think some of the key ones, especially as masters, is sleep. At certain ages, people start having issues with that. I guess even younger maybe have issues just because their busyness in their life. But sleep is important. I try to get up to 9 hours of sleep a night. eight to nine. Don't always succeed in that, but I'd say on average, I'm coming real close to 8 to 9 hours. I highly recommend that you find a mobility program. Go What I'm using right now is great. Do their mobility assessment test and find out what your struggles are, what your weak points are, and do that regularly.
Consistency is key with that.
Yep. And sticking to a training plan. If you're trying to find, ways to crack into that quarterfinals or semifinal round of athletes, find a training plan and give it a good solid try. A lot of people, I think I've come across here and there that just jump around,
Yep.
Different programming, or they might just really don't have a plan. They're just like, oh, that program, that workout there looks fun today, let's do that one. And then they're doing something else another day that looks fun and appealing to them. So the other thing is, I've had many years or periods of time over the years where I've had to do a training on my own. I can do it. It's not my preference. I prefer to have a group or, at least another individual to train with, just to keep you motivated. One of my things I despise is, like, on a day where I'm training on my own, I drive up to the gym, it's middle of the day and the gym's closed, open gym time, and I'm the only one there. Yeah. Solo, walk into a dark gym, have to turn the lights on, open the doors, get the music on. And so, yeah.
Some people really thrive training solo. Jason, I know that you've done that for a long time. And some thrive with the group. There's always somebody that's ahead of you, or you're trying to stay ahead of, or pushing you. Or I mean, it just really depends on how you are as an athlete, what fits you best.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt to mix it up.
I've done a lot. I've done a lot, but I definitely prefer having a group of people around me.
Ditto.
Yeah. I don't necessarily need to be training with people, but having other human breathing souls around me is nice. Other people suffering, they can look over and empathize with what you're currently trying to accomplish, and understand the pain. Well, Cheryl, we'll give you a minute before you have to answer this question. But typically at the end of our show, Rick and I will give a tip or a pick of the week. For example, like, we've picked a certain type of jump rope that we like historically, or compression pants. We both had different brands of compression pants on the same day, ironically, that we both recommended. And Rick has had some tips that he's shared, so we'll share our tips or our picks of the week, and then that'll give you a chance to come up with one that you'd like to share, a piece of equipment or a tip at this season of life that's been really good for you. Rick, would you like to lead that off? Do you have yours ready?
I would. It's a throwback, and when I saw that this was available now, and then we were able to talk with you, Cheryl, this lined up perfectly. But Reebok just brought back the Nano 2.0, and that is available on their site.
Really?
I know that a lot of people have liked that style of Nano for a long time, and it's been hard. You might be finding a pair here or there, but it is back for sale, I think, for a limited time on Reebok's site. I don't know a price. I have no idea. All I know is the buzz and the bright. What sticks in my mind is looking at those bright orange or salmon colored shoes that were out there on the floor. And so here we're talking to somebody who actually wore those, and we wore them kicking around. But I love the 2.0, and that's my pick of the week this week, because cool. Reebok just reintroduced them again.
I didn't realize that. Thanks for bringing my attention.
If they ever release that 4.0 again, man, I would spend hundreds and buy a dozen pairs of the 4.0 if that ever comes up. I love them. Fill my closet, wear one until it's just falling apart. My pick of the week is the fact that I've been indecisive about two bags that I've been testing out and absolutely love. I've been a guy that's been struggling to carry my gear for years. I've had Noble bags, I've had Reebok backpacks. I've carried two bags for most of the time to carry all of my stuff, mobility, my grips, my clothes, my shoes, all of that. And I posted out on Instagram a couple of months ago, I needed recommendations, and the two top contenders were King Kong bags and Haven bags. And I reached out to both of those companies, and I ordered their largest bags and I love them both. So I actually just put out a YouTube video on a comparison between the King Kong bag, which can truly hold everything. It is a giant bag. And it really does hold everything. But I find that I get a little bit lost in the bag. Like, all my stuff is in there technically, but it's the Haven bag is incredibly organized, and there's these little slots and pockets for everything. So it's very organized. I love them both. So in the show notes below, I'll have a link to both of the bags. And you got to decide, do you need to carry absolutely everything, including the kitchen sink, or do you need to be organized? I know, Rick, I know what you want. I see you shaking your head. I know Rick is the organization guy. I'm kind of the kitchen sink guy, but I love them both. So I'll recommend both of the bags because they're both so well made and better than any other bags I've ever used. I was hoping there would be a clear winner, but they're both really, really great. So that's my pick of the week. Cheryl, what do you got?
Well, it's funny you mentioned the bags because yesterday I was getting into CrossFit Kona. I got my Noble gym training bag, and then I have my old Reebok Games bag for my shower. All my shower and fresh clothes are in there. So I'm just like, really? Do I need 2 bags? But I seen the bunch of posts about the Haven bags, and those look really cool. Some of my friends have got those as well. But I'm like, how many bags does a girl need? Like
2, 3.
I don't.
At minimum.
But that Haven bag, I'll have to check out the King Kong one. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. That Haven, that looks like a pretty slick bag.
Yeah.
But then what I do with my Noble bag and my Reebok bags, I just sit in the closet.
Travel.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But amongst the subject, this just came to mind is when you're packing to go to competition. What I decided to do several years ago is I keep a list in my note of a packing list of everything I need. Rather than redo it every year over and over again, I just keep that list and I, modify it as needed. But that's a little tip that has helped me save some times and in the future, and you get ready for trips and competition and making sure you don't forget something important.
It's so brilliant. It's so smart.
But I had a kind of a mindset thought that I wanted to share with you guys today. And this was one that one of my training partners shared with the group of us last week. And I thought this was a really cool one as CrossFitters that we need to keep present. And it goes, I'm just going to read it here for you. Thought of the day. Navy SEALs have a saying. You may find it helpful. When something sucks, they look at each other and say, quote, full benefit. It's an instant mindset shift. Hiking and it starts pouring rain, driving and your car breaks down, working on a project, lost a draft, full benefit. Lesson is adversity is an opportunity. The message is simple. Every adversity is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to evolve, to get stronger, to become better. These moments forge us if we let them. The next time you're facing something hard, welcome it. Work through the process. Learn the lessons. Reap the full benefit. So that's our thought for the day.
Wow, that's great.
Thank you for
That's
sharing.
really great.
And we're going to have to remember that. Yeah.
I'm going to the gym today to do shuttle runs, rope climbs, and shoulder to overhead. I'll be thinking full benefit.
Full benefits. 100%
As
full
you turn
benefits.
time after time after time.
On those shuttle
Run.
runs.
That's one thing I think we won't see a lot of. Is
I think
50
you're
more.
right. I think we've had those twice now. I don't think we'll see it, but nevertheless, it'll be good training today.
Absolutely. But that's a nice,
Very good.
That was nice to share. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we appreciate you being on the show with us today and taking the time out of your schedule and also navigating the time zone differences with us. For us, it's the end of the day. For you, it's the beginning of the day. So we hope you have a great day. And for those of you that were listening, thank you for tuning into the Masters in Motion podcast. If you found this episode helpful, we'd be grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast app. Your support helps us reach more listeners and grow our Masters community. Until next time, get bolder, not older.